gunner he was the middleweight wrestling champion of Michigan, and he was a stud if there I ever saw one. And he carried that 51-pound tripod across the beach on his shoulders, and he finally got killed up at St. Lo. But he did get across the beach, and we had no gun, but we had a tripod and one box of ammunition, and I had one rifle. That was everybody else had lost theirs, and my rifle wouldn't fire because it's full of sand. So I tore it apart, and that's when I found that my raincoat was full of bullet holes. But out there, laying out there on that sand, waiting on the Germans to subside a little bit, the fire, my number 3 gunner, Ernest McCandless from Chattanooga, Tennessee, he hollered over to me and he said, "Slaughter, are we going to get through all of this?" I didn't know how to answer him. I thought we were all going to die. It seemed like that everybody that tried to run across the beach would get shot. We couldn't stay where we were because if we stayed there, the incoming tide would swamp us. So we couldn't go, we couldn't go anywhere but forward. So I told my squad, I said, I'm going, and I said, follow behind me. And so I guess, I don't know, I was scared to death. But I got up out of that water and started running as hard as I could run, and I ran and ran and ran. It seemed like forever because we had 400 yards. That's 4 football fields end to end that we had to go across under fire, machine guns, and it was scary as heck, to say the least. And when we got across, I looked, and there was my number 1, 2, and 3 gunner. They were right with me, and we went across exactly at the right time because right after that, a hail of machine gun bullets started crisscrossing that beach, and so it was. We just plain luck, I guess, that we picked the right time to go. The Germans had to rearm and reload their weapons, so I guess we found them at the right time while they were reloading. But anyway, we got to the top of the hill, and on the way up, we saw a soldier from B Company who was first sergeant of B Company. His name is Bill Presley. And we followed him. He had 3 or 4 men from B Company with him, and we had 3 or 4 from our group. And we got to the top of the hill, and that's when I looked back over behind us, and I could see that armada, and I had never seen so many ships in all my life. It just seemed like the whole horizon was just full of ships and boats of all kinds, landing craft, and I didn't tell you about the Texas, USS Texas, was about a mile over to our starboard side, and it had turned broadside and was firing its 14-inch guns into the Point de Hoc, which was the cliff that the Rangers had to climb, and so the Texas was cleaning that out, and they were firing 8-pound shells over to Omaha Beach, where we landed, and it was just very exciting to me. I thought it was like going to the movies, But I was scared to death, but it was still exciting. But anyway, we got up to the top of the hill, and we looked over right about to a couple hundred yards from us were a battery of German Navalwerfers, and we could see them firing over on the beach. And so Presley, Sergeant Presley from B Company, he sent one of his men back to the beach to get one of those big radios. And they were to go back and get the radio and then try to make contact with one of the ships out in the channel. And they found this naval lieutenant with one of those big backpack radios, and he was dead, lying face down. And Presley sent this soldier down to retrieve that weapon. Okay, I'll wind her down. Anyway, he killed the. He got that backpack radio and made contact with a destroyer out in the channel, and then knocked out this Nabowerfer.
Thank you, Mr. Slaughter. Our next speaker is, well, first let me welcome the students from Osborne Park, and you've had an exciting morning, I know, out there in 66. We're discussing D-Day, the invasion of Normandy, the biggest operation in military history right now. And we're about to hear from Donald Burgett, who was with the 101st Airborne Division and wrote an award-winning book called Currahee about his experiences, which is the only book that President Eisenhower ever endorsed about World War II. So, Don, take it away. You'll see this turn yellow, by the way, when it's time to wrap up, and then it'll start flashing red when it's time to...
And then comes Jim. Thanks a lot, Jim. I really appreciate it. And looking around, it just kind of warms your heart to see so many young people here. Thank you for coming. Shows your interest in days that have long gone by, 63 years ago. Thank you for coming. And thank the rest of you for coming, too. Usually I present a talk. It's a little bit longer than what we have today, and I usually cover Normandy, Holland, Bastogne, the Rhineland, Ruhr Valley, and all the way into southern Germany, the Eagle's Nest, and Austria. That's where we started and ended our combat time. But we're going to kind of cut it down here a little bit, I think. And thing is, I was in the 101st Airborne, 506 Regiment, Able Company. And of course, everybody feels that their outfit was the best, and Marines are the best, and we were the best, and engineers were the best. But you have to have that attitude to go in to win. And that's the attitude I think all the GIs have, and the Navy, whoever they are, they have that attitude. If they don't, we're going to lose. And we formed up. We had a lot of training just prior to the Normandy invasion. We had day jumps, night jumps, and when we couldn't, believe this or not, we were under gasoline rationing in World War II. And there were times that we could get the gasoline for our aircraft, the C-47, but we couldn't get the aircraft, and then they were on a mission, and when we could get the aircraft, we couldn't get the fuel. So at times we would go across country jumping off the back of trucks to simulate stick landing and then reassembling. This was done at night. We practiced in reality to go into Normandy and Torquay. I always call it Torquay, but I found out that's Spanish, and it's pronounced Key, like the Florida Keys. But we went down to the Torquay in southern England, and after practicing in different places for a lot of time, but now we're getting close to the an invasion, but we didn't know exactly where. So when we went to Torquay, the land is just about like it is across the channel. It's all hedgerows. Of course, now you get into Normandy, it's all hedgerows. That kind of took the guesswork out of where we were going. So we had a darn good idea about this. And we were finally moved to the marshalling area, which was in the Air Corps, and they put guards around so we didn't sneak off to town to get a beer or run around with some young English girl. And they had tents there set up, and we had sand tables in the tents and a wire over the top of them. And almost every hour on the hour, the Air Corps would bring in recon photos of the Normandy beach, and you could see the houses, the apple orchards, and the whole thing, and see if there's any change from when one photo was taken to the next photo.